Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMTrading. Today is July 23rd, 2018, and today is Monday morning. So looking at the economic events of the day, no news scheduled for today, but as the week cooks up, we'll see some trickling news coming in. Now, we are in the heart of the summer, and relatively it's lighter volume, but we haven't really seen that, okay? Across the board, we've seen a lot of rotation in the markets, with the dollar getting much weaker across the board. And let's take a look.
This conference will now be recorded.
So taking a look from last week's action, you can see here that the Euro USD rallied to 117.39-ish level that we're trading in right now. That's a massive rally from last week. You know, really almost impossible to catch it because it's just been so choppy. Okay, 100 pips up, 200 pips down, 300 pips up. You know, it's just been very, very choppy. Okay, but and the extremities are still there. Trading at 115.81 would have been a hard place to actually pick it up. But once we broke above this, moving averages, that's still a place to actually consider buying it. Okay, now this is hard because you don't like to chase it up and then the anticipation that it's going to go further up. But right now we're trading at this minor resistance level here at 117.43. Next real resistance level 117.83. So keep that in mind that we may see a correctional move on the downside. Now, like I said, this is summer trading, so we may have these spurts of big days and then followed with very little volume the next day. So keep that in mind. Like looking at the GBP USD, same story. Nice rally and nice short covering. Okay, so this really has to prove to us that there's somewhat of a changing in the market versus the dollar, and we may finally see that because the dollar has beaten up the rest of the currencies for the past, I would say, 4 to 5 months. So keep that in mind as this is correcting itself, to 131. Now the real catalyst here was the USD Japanese yen. Okay, trading from 113 down to 110. Big nosedive, as you can see. Now we're closing in at this support previous resistance level, so just keep that in mind that we may get a bounce later today. So so that's something to really consider. But again, we may not see that bounce being massive because it is summer trading. Looking at the USD CAD, big retracement there as well, 132 down to 131. Some news that came out last Friday, and so again, we're right there at support level. So just keep that in mind. If we do break this on the downside, we could see it maybe coming back to the 130-ish level, but I don't want to celebrate that too soon, as we are sitting right there in support. Now looking at the commodities, looking at gold right here, we sold off to 1212 last week. Okay, 1,212, and that was our target. Right, I did not make up this, support level. This line, let's just highlight it. Okay, has been there for quite some time, 112.12, and sure enough, we sold off and capitulated down to that area, last Thursday, Friday, and we're just bouncing off of it to 1232. Now, the real resistance level is 1243, 1239-ish level. Okay, so just keep that in mind. If we do bounce, that's really my target for a possible short on the downside, as this is getting much weaker versus, everything. Just the indices are a little bit firming up there, showing some strength across the board. So, looking at the price of gold really getting weaker. Now jumping into oil right here, we bounced off of our low of 66.43, trading at $68 a barrel. So I do expect this to stay in this range at least for the interim. Okay, between 69.14-ish level and on the lower part 66-ish level, which is not a bad range for us to be in the price of oil for the summer. Now jumping into the Dow Jones, last week we had this sell-off last Friday, as you can see, from 25,200-ish level down to 24,900-ish level. Okay, so not a massive retracement, but a retracement nonetheless. Okay, so we're sitting there right now at the support level to really test if this was a bona fide rally. Okay, if this is really going to continue its upward stream, with some of the U.S. stocks a little bit solidifying, with the dust settling between the tariff wars between the U.S. and everywhere else. So this is actually a moment of truth to see if this actually follows through later this week. Okay, so like I said, it is summer trading, so we might not get that, as the week progresses. Now jumping into the DAX, massive sell-off we had last week, 12,758 down to fit 12,532, and we're just, bouncing in this mid level between, our resistance level of 12,641. So this is also something I like to keep an eye out to see if it does, rally back later this week, with some sort of correctness, either on the upside or the downside, but like to see some sort of, conviction there. Now, jumping into the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, you can't write this stuff up. Look at how beautiful this support and resistance levels are. Okay, on the top side, 52,491-ish level, and on the bottom side, 49,000-ish level. I mean, we've been trading between these two areas for quite some time. As long as we break above this moving average, we may see it correct itself back to the 51,000 level. Okay, but so far we've been trading really beautifully in this range. And just buying the bottom of the range, selling the top of the range has really been very lucrative for most traders who have been trading this. Okay, so keep that in mind as this continues to trade. Now, NASDAQ, sold off last week. Okay, we're sitting there at previous resistance, maybe subsequent support here. So this is really a vital moment for the NASDAQ to see if it's going to hold here. Now, if we look at Facebook, didn't retrace much. Okay, looking at a 4-hour chart, maybe even a 1-hour chart, you could see that it's holding its own on the top side here. Okay, now this may change because if we do look at Amazon, we see that it did sell off a little bit more here. So 1813 right here from its 1851 high. So that's a little bit disconcerting. Okay, but as long as the stocks are going up, then I could imagine that the NASDAQ will follow through. Now, lastly, Bitcoin rallying nicely last week. Let's just jump into that graph. Okay, this is a nice Fibonacci setup that we've made a couple corrections to. Okay, from its previous high to its subsequent low that we had just recently. And as you can see, we're sitting there at resistance 7582-ish level right here. So really important for this to break out higher to see if it does have a correctional move. Now this has solidified. Okay, we had a low of 5900-ish level. Okay, so this is a really big move on the upside for Bitcoin. So I'd like to see if that actually continues that trend on the upper side, especially if we break this 7841-ish level, which we're not that far off. So keep that in mind for later this week. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.